We've always been football fans.
When you get attached to a team, a game becomes much more meaningful than just going to see something. You're really involved. I don't know, it's just something that's been so much a part of our life.
My name is Sheila Duthie, and I am 84 years old.
My name is James Duthie. I'm her husband and best friend.
In June, we will celebrate our 62nd anniversary, so we have been together a long time.
I would say there's probably a good half century worth of times that they've been coming to games here in Ottawa, which is amazing if you think about it. I think it was actually my mom who brought my dad to a game. It was her that introduced him to the Roughriders in football, and he kind of fell in love with it.
Roughriders were a very big part of our life. We loved them.
Jim is very quiet. I always say, and I jump up and down and things like that, and so I'm very exuberant.
At home, it's just the two of us.
And I yell at them on the team when they miss a pass, and I say, "What are you doing?"
They shared that same passion, and I think it just kind of helped foster their relationship, their passion for this game and this team.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about you guys growing up as a family, and why was it important to you that they be a part of the football traditions that you guys love so much?
I think it was just important that a family do things together.
22 years basically we sat in these very seats. This was the one sort of thing I always did with my mom and dad. My sisters always bugged me because when they wanted to come to the games, they'd buy tickets and they'd sit them in the end zone.
The idea was that they would take turns, but Jamie always some way talked them out of their seat.
He conned them pretty well every time, I think.
I loved football. I loved having a hot dog and a big fat Coke. And, you know, when I got to my 13, 14, 15, I loved oogling the cheerleaders. My dad would slide me his binoculars sometime and give me a wink, wink and a nudge, nudge.
He'd say, second row, third in, Dad. I said, not bad. How about the last row, number 4? Oh, pretty good.
Which is probably not politically correct anymore, but that's what we did in 1970s and 80s.
Moving around the RCMP, you got to see football played in a couple of different provinces. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
When we were out in BC, the church we went to had a wonderful minister, and he was a real Rough-Rider fan too. And even a couple of times in the sermon, he would drop my name out in the Rough-Rider context.
That's because you had a radio that you listened to the game sometimes on
Yes.
Sunday. When we moved to Edmonton, about the third or fourth day, I think it was, that we were there, he came home one day and he said, "Well, I got our tickets to the Edmonton team today."
Just a natural thing to do.
I'd rather have a house to live in first before we think about that. That's how important football was to him.
I can't really begin to describe what diehards they are, and in particular my dad. Like I said, when he fell hard for Ottawa football. There had to be something Rough Rider or Ottawa football on everything he wore, bumper stickers on the car. It was just omnipresent. I don't think you can overstate how much it means to him to come to these games.
Well, it was our team, no matter what you call it. When you live in Ottawa and become involved in Ottawa, when that is removed from you, it leaves quite a hole in your life.
The actual day that the team folded, I was here doing interviews with players. All I could think of was my folks, because it really hurt my dad, and I thought this was his existence. So when the team was reborn the first time, he was the first guy to put down a deposit for tickets. And then when the Renegades died and there was talk about a new team, he was one of the first guys to put down deposit for tickets. So he's been about as faithful as I think faithful could be to Ottawa football.
Considering the roller coaster ride you've been on with the Rough Riders and then Renegades and now Redblacks, what is it about Ottawa football that has kept you guys so invested?
It becomes a big part of your life. Like up here, we plan our lives around football games.
A real high last year. It was just so exciting and everything else.
I was biased last year during the Grey Cup for sure, because I never thought in my life that we'd see football here in Ottawa again, and I never thought ever they'd win a Grey Cup. especially, you know, when my parents were still alive as they were getting older. And so when that game was close in the fourth quarter and overtime, I was really hoping for the Redblacks, just for them.
Snow expected to fall throughout the game. Henry Burris had the game of his life last year.
So what is it like to watch your son make such a significant contribution to Canadian football?
It's pretty special. We're very proud of him. Jim used to say, he used to be somebody in his own right. Now people say, oh, you're James Duthie's parents.
When I first got hired by TSN, my first job was hosting CFL. And I remember getting very, now I'm going to get all worked up, you're going to get me emotional, but I remember getting really, when I called my dad, to say that I was hosting CFL, I was very, that was a touching moment for me, because you know, I knew how much he loved it, and so that was very cool. Most of the time I'm thrilled to be down on the field doing my job, but there's moments where I wish I was still back up here.
Knowing that there's fans like your parents, what do you think that the future of football looks like in Ottawa?
People mistake the fact that the teams were terrible, that it wasn't a good football town. You imagine if your team is awful for 25 years, they never have a winning season, they have bad ownership and bad management, and yet for 15,000 diehards to still be here every week, to me, is something else. It's a fantastic football town that's just been cursed with horrible teams. They finally got it right with the Redblacks, and now you see what's happening. The faithfulness of that generation says a lot to what's happening now.
It's the best I've seen in all the Roughrider and Renegades. I think it's got a good future. We had so many things that we could have complained about in the old days, and now you're hard pressed to find anything to complain about.
We've already ordered our season tickets for next year.
Paid for them.
Yes,
Again.
paid for them too.
I just think the time with them, you know, is so precious when you look back at it now. So, Mom and Dad, thank you so much for loving football and introducing me to this game. You know, that's part of it, because I feel like everything that I have in my career is kind of because of this. Passion for sports really kind of started right here. As long as they are physically able to come to see the Redblacks play, they will be here.